Hey everyone, my name is Dave. Welcome to our shop back here at NTD Racing. If you're watching the last couple of videos, you know that we just got done racing Honcho at the Mint 400, and we were doing awesome until we weren't, and we ended up breaking some parts. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how we replaced the parts and what we did on Honcho to get her back ready. And I think we're pretty much ready besides just the normal battle damage that's kind of left on the truck for our next race. And then a little bit of exciting news about Lefty, as we're really into this build right now and spending a lot of time on this. Stay tuned to the end, I'll tell you about what we're doing on Lefty. Okay, let's start with a little bit of a tour of all the stuff that's going on here in the shop with regards to the race trucks and all that. Right now, however, we are charging up a couple of the RC cars. Me and the dude are gonna go racing. I think Ryan just got one of his own cars. His kids got cars. We're gonna go racing and have a good time. You know, if you're wondering where to get this kind of stuff, you can go on Amazon and buy this. But what I recommend is, you know, generally for the exact same price is you can go into places like Hobby Town and actually interact with people and buy this stuff. And the guys who really know their stuff will help you buy these trucks and then get all the parts. Like we keep breaking like suspension arms, and they have that stuff there and they can help you fix that. Go ahead and check out the folks at Hobby Town. Getting back to the big full scales, the 1-to-1 trucks over here though, I'm going to talk about 3 things we're going to fix on Honcho. We do have Lefty over here, and that is totally going. You've been watching me use the Crossfire XR and getting that whole thing put together. And now I am just about to get into another really cool part is Bentec. And I got a couple of good surprises for the Bentec part. But we've been on the Crossfire XR, and you see me building the spindles. We're totally into that and using the Crossfire over here, which is just an amazing machine. A bunch of other stuff going on over here on the table also. Almost too much to talk about. We're getting into the L96. And you know what I'm thinking? I've been talking about how I'm going to pull the signal off of this to turn on fans. And I think we're just going to use some of the stuff that I got from Car Tech, and I can show you that here in a second. And basically just tap into this bung right over here. All right, so I just mentioned Car Tech, and I just got back from going over there and getting some stuff. I picked up the fuel safe 60-gallon tank, and I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. I'll be doing videos on how we plumb this whole thing. I'll be plumbing a return line into this, and I'll show you how I do that and how I use this tank. I really think the fuel safe tank, this is a 60-gallon one, is the best value as far as race tanks and how to get the most, you know, the biggest tank for the least amount of money and fuel safe. And I'll show you how I'm going to integrate that into the design of Lefty. We picked up a whole bunch of other stuff. This is, you know, you ask yourself, where do you get this kind of stuff? Car Tech is the one-stop shop for all these things, these massive rod ends, all the spacers and high misalignment spacers, the bungs that fit, you know, those kinds of large rod ends and those kinds of things. I get all this stuff from Car Tech. And when I call down there, I talked to Tyler. I talked about the adjustable fan control. I think we're going to try to use this and try to do some smart stuff to pull 2 relays to run 2 separate fans, because one relay will get burned up with how big those fans are over there. We got some other stuff. This is a whole new CBR cooler. I'll be putting that thing on. I got another CBR radiator upstairs, and I'll show you how I use all that. Today, though, we're talking about the 3 things I need to fix on Honcho to basically get it race ready again. Fortunately, you know, it's nice to bring back most of a full truck every time you race. We've rolled them before and those kinds of things, and that's kind of a pain in the butt. But we had 3 things that broke, and here's what we're going to fix. Is, well, we just got the shocks back. We had one of the shocks actually ripped out the bottom. This whole piece right here actually just ripped completely out the bottom. So I took it to the guys at Down South Motorsports, and these are just some of my favorite people, and they basically went through and checked it out, and they replaced on both of the rear shocks basically all the parts. And on all of the parts, here are all the different seals and things that they replaced and pulled out of there, basically rebuilt all of the shocks, and you can just see they come back super clean and almost looking brand new. So I really like working with those guys down there. If you head down there, talk to Sonny. Just a super good dude, tons of knowledge, and these are the guys you want to order shocks from, especially if you're in the SoCal area. I was down there, and one of the guys I met was the guy from, one of the dudes from Wings World. And I don't know about you, but I watch these guys all the time. They're just super smart, but I have seen in one of their videos how they wrap their pipe clamps. And then I get the shocks back, and he works there, and the shocks come back. You know, this is an extra touch that they don't have to do, but they do that. I think it's just a higher quality look. The build looks really good, and I really appreciate them doing that. You know, these things come back looking, no kidding, brand new. So I think that's really awesome. All right, my dude just showed back up on his little electric machine. Now he's got 2 electric machines. That's pretty cool. You having a good time today? Check out his YouTube channel. What's it called? Fun Machine. Anyway, these things came back brand new. We're gonna go ahead and put these things back on Honcho, get her back to ride height, give her a test drive and see how she goes. One of the other things that we had problems with in the race, we started losing the transmission, and we lost our tap up and tap down on the tap down portion. We could tap up, we couldn't tap down. So I just got to go in here and chase some wires, and I'm finding that I'm having some issues with these weather pack plugs. I had an issue with the lights in the front, and I might be having issues. I got to just check some of the continuity for the electricity going through there and see what the problem is and where I'm no longer getting a signal, whether it's a switch, plug, or further down the line. We'll go ahead and figure that out. And the last part that I got to fix is the transmission tail shaft housing. And here is the part that we are going to replace. And somewhere underneath the truck right now is, somewhere in there, is the piece that looks like this that is on the transmission right now. And this is off of the other transmission. So I got to replace the seal. I just pulled this off of the first transmission that we blew up. But here is the part that you can see that broke off during the Mint 400, and this was sheared off. And this piece is this piece right here. And if you can see right on the inside, we thought initially like, man, that is a really bad casting. But really what that is the back side of this thing. You can kind of see inside there where that's the back side. So this thing just started leaking hydraulic fluid out or transmission fluid out everywhere. So I'm going to replace this. We're going to run with this at least for a while. We're using the same transmission in Lefty. So, I'm coming up with some plans. I don't know if you've been watching, but Langmuir Systems is coming out with a new milling machine. And I was asking myself, I was like, I wonder if I can make a better one of these with a milling machine. So it got me thinking, I don't know, man, I might be buying a milling machine and start using those kinds of things. So that'd be pretty cool and a really neat addition to the shop. And all that stuff is expensive. The shocks are expensive. I don't know if I told you, but to fill up this fuel tank, it's going to cost us like $360 in fuel just to fill that thing up. So if you're wondering why we always say, check it out on our website for affiliate links and those kinds of things, it's because we got to pay for all this stuff, and that's how we do it, and we sure do appreciate it. With that, let's go ahead and get to work on Honcho and get this baby back to ride height. Well, as we get to work on the truck, I love having my little boy working in the garage, and I always try to set up for him a safe space for him to kind of work to where he's not going to get hurt. He's going to feel rewarded because whatever he makes is going to stay on the truck. For example, if you look on the back of our truck at our number plate, he has NTD Racing written on there, and he wrote the C backwards, and I love it. It's been on there for 4 races and 2 Baja 1000, so it's a really cool part. Another thing is we are getting smarter on shocks, and one of the things I'm bringing into my cross check is the amount of pressure that is in the shock, the nitrogen pressure that's in there. So we're getting a kit so we can do that ourselves and then kind of tune the shocks. And I honestly think that might be one of the reasons that the shock failed, is we were neglecting putting the right amount of pressure in the shock, and we'll be doing that, and that'll be part of our pre-race tuning in the future, is putting the correct pressure in the shock. One other thing we need to figure out is how to compress the shock to put it on here. And I know they have spring compressors, but we're talking about a shock that has 18 inches of travel, and it's hard to put a 36-inch shock underneath the truck, and we have the lift at our disposal. I know not everybody does that, so in the future I'll be designing something that'll allow me to clamp that shock in the compressed state, put it in there, and then safely release that clamp, and I'll figure that out. And it'll make it a lot easier, one, for putting the shocks on and off, but then also just the orientation of some of the valves for putting nitrogen in are in a place we can't reach it while the shock's on, so I actually have to drop the top of the shock off, and it'll be a lot easier if I figure out how to hold that shock or the bypass in a compressed state, and I'll show that sometime in the future. Okay, here's a look at that tail housing from the transmission. I just pulled it out of the back of Honcho, and this is a piece that broke off, and sure enough, there is the hole right there that you can see right through, and that is where all the transmission fluid was coming pissing out. And it's not really very thick of a piece back there. So in the short term, what I'm doing, at least for Honcho, is I'm getting this other tail housing, which came off of one of our original transmissions. I'll put that back on, it'll work. I do have to replace this seal. I just happen to have an extra seal sitting around. I'll go ahead and pop that thing back in there, and we'll get that working. In the future, I might look at maybe doing some milling, I don't know, and maybe trying to remake one of these a little bit better, more robust, and make it easier for me to take that transmission in and out of the back of Honcho and Lefty. So there you go. All right, so I was able to get Honcho back together with some of those parts that were left over. Huge thanks to the guys at Down South Motorsports. Not only did they turn around those shocks quickly and they look totally brand new, but I just got a call and our shocks for Lefty, at least most of them, just came in. They were supposed to be delayed. I was actually worried that King wouldn't even have them ready by the time November rolled around, and it is April, and they're ready for Lefty. So a lot of great stuff happening with Lefty right now. We are getting all the dimensioning done, and why are we doing that? Because we are working with Bentech. And if you've seen me do Honcho on a couple of the old videos, you saw I made the whole roll cage for Honcho with 2 angle grinders and the Bentech software. This year we're stepping it up one time. And I'm gonna show you in the next couple of videos how I dimension out this whole truck and get it ready to use the Dragon. We're going actually to Bentech and we're gonna use their Dragon machine and we're gonna cut all the tubes out. Kind of risky because I'm gonna have the whole design. We're gonna cut every tube out and then come back and like some kind of erector set, try to put this thing back together. But we're gonna be doing it there. We'll be shooting on site. I can't wait. Bentech, their software is totally awesome, and I just can't wait to get to use one of their machines. And we'll show you how we do that and show you what the value is in doing those kinds of things in case you want to add one of those to your shop. And I hope that you will like what we do there. You'll consider watching the next episode, maybe liking and subscribing, ringing the bell for notification of future episodes. We'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourself. Well, I love RC cars. This is how I got my start working on cars, and I'm trying to get my little boy into doing everything with cars, and we started with his RC car. Where do we get these things? You know, I'll tell you what, you can get them on Amazon, but I promise you that there is some really cool guy that lives in your local neighborhood who is passionate about it and started his own store, and I will ask you to go shop local and support these guys. If you're in San Diego, we go to Amdraw, and if you're anywhere else, I promise you there's a hobby town pretty close by you can go to and find these amazing machines. Check out how fast they are. Smacked it.
Oh my gosh, that was actually great for the video.
All right, you want to stop?